Hey, everybody, welcome to episode number 3 of the Roger Lee podcast. Today is a special day. I've actually been looking forward to this day for a very long time because I have a really special guest. You've heard me speak about her many, many times. Uh, she, she is really a really big part of my journey to I how RLQ came to be, why I started writing quotes, and why I do what I do, like everything that I do, like even up to this day, to this podcast. It wouldn't have happened actually if Michaela, like I'll explain it to you later because you guys probably know about it. So Michaela, welcome to my show.
Hi,
I'm
hi.
so happy to have you. I mean, we've been literally talking about. Actually, I wanted to get you here a long time ago, but
Yeah,
I don't think you were ready, and I don't even think I was ready. I wanted to
yeah,
get you here actually on one of my lives before, but I know that, like again, you probably weren't ready,
yeah.
right?
I know we mentioned it like multiple times
Yeah,
in the past, maybe like a year or even
even
before
before that, yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, I just it wasn't time.
And
But
now it's
yeah,
time.
now.
Now it's time. So, when we talk about there's a time and place for everything. Oh, by the way, this is Prince. This is Michaela's
My dog.
cute, cute dog. And if I don't think I mentioned before, but Michaela is my niece.
Yep.
So she's my wife's sister's daughter, and they actually live just right across the street,
Yeah, it's like
pretty much.
2 minutes
So,
away.
but yeah, the reason why today was such an important day, and why Michaela is so important was because if you guys don't know my story on how everything started, it actually happened 8 years ago. We had a very Do you remember that snowstorm that we had?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, my kids were really young during that time. And I'm just going to go through this really quickly for anyone that doesn't know my story. But, I was looking, my my wife's cousin actually came on that day because I didn't want to go out actually on the day because you remember how bad it was. It was like one of the worst ice storms we had. And
Yeah.
it was
Like
like in the
record.
end of March around. So spring was like pretty much there. And I was like, I'm not gonna go outside because it's like,
It was blizzarding.
yeah, blizzarding, rain. It was raining really hard, and then all of
Yeah.
a sudden it just froze. And then all of a sudden, my wife's cousin came over out of the blue. And then later on. She wanted me to drive her home, and I was like, I can't just leave my kids, right? Because at that time they were really young. So I was like, the first person I thought it was Michaela, because she lived really close by, and at that time I think it was 8 years ago. So you were like nine,
Yeah, like
25,
18,
17, 18
19.
years old only. Right. So, I
Wow.
called her up. She's like, okay, I'll come over. So I had the babysitter. Everything was working fine, and then after I drove her home, I was like, you want to watch a movie or do something? Like, she just stuck around, right? So we did, and we ended up watching this movie. And I think the movie was come with Mark Wahlberg, and I think it was like Daddy Come Home, or you remember that Mark Wahlberg movie?
I don't
No, it was
remember.
something like that, like Welcome Home Dad, or you guys probably know what I'm talking about. But it was just funny because it kind of related to me, like my story and how I healed myself and everything. But anyways, so it was like nighttime. We just finished watching the movie, and I stepped
Yeah.
outside, and I was just wearing my running shoes. I just want to get some fresh air. And I looked back in the window and I saw Michaela. She looked like she was getting ready. So I opened the door and I said, Michaela, do you want me to drive you home? And she's like, okay, right? So the first thing I did was I totally forgot to put my boots on. I totally forgot that it was actually icy and very, very, very slippery. And I ran to the car. And I didn't do that until Michaela actually stepped outside, I think, right? Because you actually saw me running to the car because you saw me fall, right?
I saw you fall. I don't remember if I exited the house first, but I'm pretty sure you probably did. Yeah, you
Yeah, like
ran. You ran
literally right when she came outside, I like ran, I ran to
to
the
the
car,
car.
and the only thing I remembered was pure white. But I do remember this though. I did hear a voice, and
Oh yeah. Okay. Can I recollect
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the
Okay,
yeah?
okay. Well, let's hear Michaela's side of it
No,
first.
yeah. I was going to the car first, and then you followed right after me. But
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, okay. So I probably
yeah,
had to lock the door.
yeah. And then
Okay,
I
that
was
okay.
walking, and then I just turned around, and then you were on the floor. Yeah, and then I freaked out. Yeah. So
And
that was
yeah,
bad.
so what happened was like during that time when I was unconscious, I actually heard a voice, and this voice said, "Roger, you fell, but everything's gonna be okay." Like that's what I literally, and it was almost like dream. It was like I was dreaming, but it was also a very like comforting, like angelic kind of feeling. Like this voice that was talking to me was very angelic. Like it just felt like, when she said everything's gonna be okay, but you got to get up. But that could be also related to my wife because my wife was saying, Roger, Roger, are you okay? Can wake up, right? But so I opened my eyes and like all I saw was the sky because when I opened my, I didn't even know where I was, right? So I opened my eyes and I was looking at the sky. It was nighttime at that time,
Yeah.
and my wife was like, "Are you okay? Do you want me to take you to the hospital?" I was like, "Holy, like what happened?" And that's when I realized that number one, I fell. I don't know how bad I fell, but and my wife told me I think I was out for maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes, because my wife was actually inside, and Michaela didn't know what to do because right, you kind of were,
Yeah, I was like frantic
yeah,
because I was just like, "Oh my God, he's on the floor!"
mm-hmm,
And then I just ran back in because you weren't responding, and
to call,
to call
yeah,
Miliai, my
Amelie,
aunt,
yeah,
and she was on the couch, so I was just like, Miliai, like come here, Uncle Rogers.
like,
He fell.
and he's not
Yeah,
waking up.
yeah, and that's all, pretty
Yeah, and
much.
then that's when she came out. And so, I got up and fortunately, like, did you actually see me hit the step? Do you remember
No,
me
I don't.
seeing the,
It's very vague in my memories
yeah.
now, but like, I don't think I witnessed you falling. Maybe I heard
Oh,
something,
you heard
but
something.
it was just like so such in an instant that
Yeah.
yeah, I just saw you on the floor, and that
But if
was
I
the end of
did,
the
like
movie.
I've been saying that I probably hit my head on the
Yeah,
the edge of the concrete step because from where I was standing. But luckily I was wearing my winter jacket and it had like this really big hood. So there was a lot of padding. Like I didn't actually have it on.
it
It
was
was
yeah,
actually just like the fur was like blocking my neck area. So, that's why sometimes I look back and I was like, what if I wasn't wearing that jacket and I was just wearing like just a normal like spring jacket because it was spring even though it was
yeah,
cold. I just look at it like it just could have been
like
a
still
different
played into
story,
it. Yeah, for sure.
right? Yeah, and so the accident like the when I first found out I had a concussion, I was lucky that I didn't have internal bleeding. I wasn't vomiting. I wasn't like I didn't have like any of those symptoms like vertigo and all that stuff, right? So I thought it was okay, right? So like I stopped working out because I knew that I didn't want to do anything just in case. So what happened was like after 2 weeks, I said, okay, well I'm fine. I should start working out again. So I did,
Mm,
and that night when I worked out, I went outside for some fresh air. And the one thing I felt like instantly was like that tingling sensation that I talked about before. It was this tingling sensation that actually started from the left side of my head, and it was like it came down. It was all on the left side of my, almost on my face, but mostly on my head. So I was like super scared because when you feel something and you have no idea, like whether it's going to be permanent or if it's temporary,
yeah,
right? So at first I thought it was temporary, but the longer it lasted, the more anxious I got, and because I like first of all I didn't go to the hospital because I thought it was okay, but eventually I did, but the thing is, it got so bad that I started to get a lot of anxiety, and that's where my actual like anxiety started to happen, and then you guys know the story that my anxiety led to depression, and then from depression, I hit rock bottom. But sorry, but the reason why how I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast how Michaela was so important in this was because there's a part in her life where I used this. I was so angry at her, okay, which is pretty crazy to hear, because I blamed her for the accident. Like I was saying that, I can't believe it. If I didn't have to drive Michaela home, then none of this would have happened. Like I wouldn't have gone through this mess. I wouldn't have to go through. My life is so crap now, And I literally blamed everything on her, which also affected my feelings towards her mom, my sister-in-law. And there's a point where I told my wife that they can no longer ever come to our house because first of all, when anyone mentioned Michaela's name or Ivy's name, which is her mom, I would have a rage fit, and so it came up to the point where my wife told Ivy, her mom, never step into my house because Roger won't allow it, right? And I think this time, I think you saw some parts of it where I was having a little bit of anxiety, right? Like the
Yeah.
beginning stages,
Beginning stages, a bit. I wasn't really there. It's all kind
kind of
of a
vague. Yeah,
blur
yeah, yeah.
here and there, but I know like the what my recollections of certain instances are. But
Because you're going to school,
oh yeah, I was in first year of
first
college.
year of college, right?
So I was like in and out of my own house. So I was like in a different place, anyways.
Yeah,
But yeah, we had a certain instance happen where I came back into your house. So
yeah.
we'll talk about that.
Okay.
But I've seen some parts here and there, and I've heard about it
Yeah, so you heard
over
it from my
time from like
kids,
yeah,
and
my cousins Michelle and
yeah,
Amelia. But
but she was never really
uh,
here, so
yeah,
I think she didn't really know how bad it got.
yeah,
So there was one time I think it was, was it the second year or was it after the first year you actually came home because you lived at Res,
yeah,
right? And then she came over one day, and I think it was one of the worst times. It's like one of the darkest times. What I was going through, she came over. I was so shocked, and the first thing no, you ran up. Did I yell at you when you were upstairs or when it was downstairs?
downstairs, like right when I
Like yeah,
entered the
right when
house.
she entered my house, she didn't even have a chance to say anything. Okay, and I just like literally yelled at her like mad. Like it was so
Mm,
bad. Like I look back at it and it was like obviously this my state of mind and everything that was going on with me. It was just something I would never say, never do, whatever. But because of what was going on with me, that's unfortunately it came out. But it really upset her, and I remember you running upstairs. And I think you ran up crying,
yeah,
right? And so, but after that, you know what? That it actually there's something triggered within me that might have helped me think a little bit more because I was like, what I did was wrong. So I actually did run upstairs. No, did I apologize to you on that night?
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
did, right? I actually did.
Yeah, you did, because Miliai was like, you have to apologize to
Yeah,
Michaela.
basically, my wife basically said what you did was like that was just not right. And sometimes it takes that one person to say something to you, and then you realize that, hey, you know what? Oh my gosh, what did I just do? Even though I was like super super angry at her because of what I thought was like everything. The reason why I'm having this anxiety and depression is because of her, right? It made me realize that, you know what? I think you're a little bit too hard on her, and I think I did hug you that day.
Yeah,
I apologized, but still, it's a moment that she will never forget, right? It's a moment that she'll never forget because she's coming in not knowing what the heck's going on, right? And then
yeah,
all of a sudden, the first thing she hears is me like
yeah,
yelling at the top of my lungs and telling her to get out of my house, never come back, right? I think those were the words I said, right? Like literally, like don't ever come back,
yeah. I
right?
think yeah,
With
just a lot
with a
of
lot of swearing because at that time I was swearing a lot. Like every single word was like the F word. So it was like pretty crazy,
very
and so this carried on, like my anger and rage with her and her family. But shortly after that, maybe a few months later, when like there's a whole bunch of things that happened to me after that, like how it made me start to change the way I was thinking every single day, what I should do with my own
mm,
life, how I should start making other people happy, trying to figure out how to make people happy, how to make people in my family come back. Like I wanted to basically mend everything back together because I believe that I was the cause, like I was the sole responsible. responsibility for the damage of what had happened to our family because it was falling apart, right? Including her family because like we weren't even they weren't even able to come to my place anymore, right? So there was this one Christmas because I just didn't want them to come over for Christmas or birthdays or anything anymore. There was that one Christmas I told my wife, I said, "Can you please invite Ivy and Michaela back to our home? Because I really I want happiness again. I want to be able to experience what we experienced before my accident, and I want that joy, that love, and all those that laughter that was missing in our house for like 2 to 3 years. I want it back. So, I were you do you remember when you came over? Were you like, oh no, I don't know if I should go? Were you kind of scared or
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, you were scared?
Yeah, at that point, I was like, I don't even want to enter the house because I don't know how you would react.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I was just
I don't blame you because
scared.
the way I yelled at
Yeah.
her like was
Yeah.
just crazy.
Yeah.
But I think that Christmas went really well. Like I think
It
at that time I actually was a lot better. Like you could tell that I wasn't the same person
yeah,
as I was that day when I yelled at
for
you, right?
sure. I I guess yeah, I could see that you were trying for sure in your
Hmm.
actions and allowing us to come over.
Yeah,
I I think you separated yourself from us though
I
because
did.
you still needed to be apart because just seeing us was still a trigger for
Yeah.
sure.
So
But
it was just I was
yeah.
like a gradual, but I took that step, and I think I always talk about taking those little steps, and sometimes there's this bridge that everyone's a lot of that people are afraid to cross, right? So I knew that in order for like one of the quotes I wrote was "make peace with your broken pieces," and I felt that whole incident with me, Michaela, and her mom was a broken piece that I needed to somehow glue back together. And I believe that if I was able to succeed with that, then just from that can prove to my own family, my kids, that, daddy is trying and he's trying to, mend things back together at the same time working on himself. Because I think one of the most important things is that I had to start working on myself in order for these pieces to be mended back together again. And that's why I talk a lot about how, loving yourself, self-care, self-love, and knowing your self-worth is so important because it all stems from there. Like if you don't care about yourself or you hate the world or you hate people, you hate yourself, it's just all about the law of attraction, right? So if I'm telling myself that I don't ever want to be a part of their family again, and I'm just putting all this negativity towards them, then, most likely I'll never be able to have those amazing moments with them ever again, right? So, that's why, um, you know, that's why I'm so happy to have Michaela here because even like 4 years ago, I was thinking of stuff to say to you, like how, like I kind of visioned it already, like how, but I didn't think it would turn out. And actually, our
Yeah.
set actually looks pretty good, right? It actually took us like 3 hours to set this up, but
Yeah.
and I wanted to make this a very, very like a comfortable podcast and very homey and
Cozy. Yeah.
cozy. And I wanted to make it look good because, like I said, today is a very special day, special podcast. So that's the whole thing. But there's so much to talk about. But I really want to dive into Michaela because Michaela, like I literally known her since birth. Like I even like I knew your mom.
Yeah.
I was dating Milia Yi when your mom was pregnant with you, right?
Yeah.
So I've watched Michaela grow. And what she had to go through when she was a child until now. But there's a lot of her story that I don't know like what she experienced. Like she'd come over and she's always joyful and stuff like that. But I never no one really knows what is actually going inside her head or what she's feeling every single day. And so we're gonna dive into that. But why don't you tell us a little bit about how your childhood was a little bit because like you came over a lot and you're so great with my kids, your cousins obviously. But I just never because you never really sat down and spoke to any of us really about what your thoughts were, whether it's about life or whether it's about school
Right.
or work or whatever, right? So how was your childhood?
Here, or like, if are we talking about
Like just growing up in general,
okay,
like just growing up in general.
like my household
Yeah, your
and my dad
household
and
and oh right, I missed
okay,
that. That's right.
okay, okay. If we're starting stripping from the very beginning
Okay, so let's
of
go back to
times,
the past. Okay, we're traveling back to the past now.
yeah, I guess childhood wise, well, I was far from you guys when because now we're
Yeah,
close.
because you live downtown
Yeah, I was
and we
downtown
lived in the
Toronto.
suburbs. We
Yeah,
lived in the
so we
suburbs.
weren't as close, but we were
Yeah.
always still
S-
close oriented. We were a family oriented family, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But my household growing up on paper was
Mm-hmm.
a pretty traumatic type of environment on paper. Growing up, my dad was not the greatest figure in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's very short too, right?
Short-lived,
Yeah,
yeah,
short, very
yeah, but
short-lived.
very prominent in
Mm-hmm.
like that time of my life.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. It was
Yeah.
really tough.
So up from like my growing up to like 6 years old, it was my mom, my sister, me, and my dad.
Yeah.
But I have very little recollection of my dad because he was just never really there.
Mm-hmm.
He was a mentally and physically abusive person. Not really towards me and my sister, but
Yeah.
more
More
towards
to your
like
mom.
my
And
mom.
that's just something that you can stand, right?
Yeah.
Was it like, what do you remember if it was like happened regularly? Were they fighting all the time? And you're just like, why is this, like when you're a kid, it's almost like when I was going through and I was yelling every single day and I was arguing with my wife and it was like my kids
Yeah.
were seeing that every single day. My arguments with her during that time, they weren't physical. It was mainly just yelling back and forth. But it was still like, when you're a kid when you're that young, it's like, it's hard to see, hard to hear, and it's just hard to,
Definitely
yeah.
in your development
Yeah, for
stages
sure. Yeah.
as a kid, you don't know what, like, if you've never witnessed this
Mm-hmm.
before, it's just like, what is this?
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
why is this happening
Why
to
is
my
this
family?
happening?
Why
Yeah.
am I part of this family?
Yeah. But I guess, yeah, because that was what I grew up into, it was kind of just a norm. So, like, I didn't know anything else. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, my dad was just like a turbulent kind of person, like super mad and aggressive, and that's all I knew
Like
him
all the
as
time,
all
pretty
the
much, eh?
time. But I don't like a lot of it's blocked out now.
Yeah.
Like during the time, it was so traumatic that I think my brain, like, just it was like a traumatic response where it just gets rid of a part of your brain because it's
Mm-hmm.
like
It's just something
it knew that it was like not good for me.
yeah,
So
exactly, yeah.
maybe it affected my sister differently.
Mm-hmm. And
And
your sister's pretty quiet.
yeah, yeah. So I feel like a lot of whatever she's going through, like it stems from our childhood for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But back to witnessing my dad and my mom. I don't know if it was constant. I think they would do it like on the side where we wouldn't notice as much.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I don't remember
Like seeing it,
seeing it
but
constantly, but
yeah,
I don't know if my brain just like blocked it out.
yeah, that's true. I mean, you're only like four
Four,
to
three,
five.
four.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're really young.
yeah.
And then finally, your mom decided to just leave, or actually he you
It,
went to court for it, no?
yeah. It like over time, I guess through so many, not so many like instances of it happening.
Yeah.
My mom was just like, she was done with it because she was just like, just being physically tormented.
Yeah, exactly. And she probably wanted to protect you and Jasmine
Yeah,
as
for
well, right? For
sure.
sure.
You guys were there for like that one
We saw
instance.
this one incident and it
I don't
was
know
pretty bad.
if
It
we,
was like really bad. We just like we barely even visited them like downtown, but that one day that we visited, I mean, I
yeah.
think I think Rihanna and Caitlyn were there, and the boys weren't born yet.
Rihanna and Kayla, I don't think they were even born yet. Actually, it was just Michelle.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh wow,
maybe
is that?
Rihanna, but yeah,
Oh yeah,
Michelle.
could it? Yeah, I think Rihanna was actually a baby, maybe.
Yeah. So I don't think she was there because maybe she was being babysat somewhere
Oh yeah,
else.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, but
But
definitely Michelle was there,
yeah, for sure.
which is our
Yeah.
eldest daughter. Yeah, and this fight broke out in the kitchen,
Yeah.
right? And it was really violent. And my wife and I were just like, oh my gosh, like, well, should we run out of the house and stuff? But your
Yeah.
mom is super strong though. Like really, her mom is so tough, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the incident that because the cops came after,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think after that incident, that's where she
That was the
decided
turning
that was
point.
basically
The
the
turning point.
turning
Yeah.
point, and she basically wanted him to be like out of her
Gone.
life because she's like, I need to protect myself, I need to protect my
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I think you guys moved uptown, right?
Moved
Like
uptown. Yeah.
closer
Yeah.
to us, which is a good thing because we were able to
Yeah.
see them, and you guys were able to spend more time with my kids,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And built an amazing bond. I mean, like our kids and Michaela and her sister, like we have such a good time. Like we have a lot of good family time, and that's one of the things that I like extremely missed, during that darkness of mine, and kind of like pushing her away. And it just became darker after that, right? So it's
Darker
like,
and there's like good and dark. Yeah. It's
yeah,
very hard to like. Yeah. Not very hard, but
it
those
just felt
two
there.
different.
It just felt like a big chunk was missing, you know. But once she started to come more over frequently,
Yeah.
like I guess after you felt more comfortable, like okay, I think Uncle Roger's pretty cool now, like I think he's starting to get better. Like you can literally see the progress of myself, like changing and getting better. And I think that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to heal myself was because I didn't want my kids to look at me as a father and say that, oh man, one day if I become a parent and I go through some anxiety and depression, I'm never going to be able to heal myself, because my father didn't do it. So I'm probably and it's scary. So as I'm healing myself, as I'm changing, as I'm proving to myself that I can actually change my life and that I can overcome like extreme darkness, then that's something that my kids can look back at and say, if ever, like even you or Jasmine or anybody, if you ever get into that situation in your life in the future, you can remind yourself that, you know what, Uncle Roger or Daddy, we saw it. He was able to, whatever he did, he was able to do it,
Yeah.
right? So it's not impossible. It's not because I thought it was impossible. You always think that it's impossible because when you're at a very, very, like
Low
very
point.
low, low,
Yeah.
low part stage in your life, and it's like extremely dark, it does feel like impossible that you can actually heal yourself or to actually recover the good things that you used to have in your life and bring it back into your life so that but you can, and you can make it better, right? You can I've had a lot of conversations with Michaela about changing your life and making you better. I always talk about that better version of yourself, and that what drives me every day is to work on that better version of yourself, right? So okay, we're getting off topic, not off topic, but I'm doing all the talking like usual. So yeah, so
I mean,
basically,
we're definitely gonna dive into that
yeah,
stuff for
we
sure.
are definitely going to dive in that. But I just want everyone to know, like what like the beginning of your life and what
Yeah.
like that's a big part of your life, like because you basically like 1/5 of your life so far
Yeah.
is basically like you had a father and now you've forgotten about him, and it's basically just you, Jasmine, and your
Yeah.
mom that's been
Yeah.
together for
It definitely affected me, like moving
while you're moving
forward,
forward, like going
like
to
like
school
even till
and
now, like it's affected my mental and like just how I operate because
hmm.
there's just
Is it because you didn't have a father figure while growing up, or is it because sometimes you do think about your father?
yeah, definitely like both,
Both.
like the what ifs if he was
Oh,
there
right. Yeah,
as
there's
a
yeah, the
figure,
what ifs
or like me comparing myself
to
to
other
other
families
people,
and stuff
even
like
you
that. Yeah,
guys.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know, everyone looks so fruitful in my life.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh,
Is that
this,
more of like when you were like younger, like growing up, or do you still
yeah,
kind of feel that way, or you're totally different now? Like you,
totally different
yeah, I
now
see it. Yeah.
of seeing like those aspects.
Hmm.
because I mean, I am who I am now because of all of
Exactly.
it.
I think I was actually the closest to a father figure to you, like
Yeah,
as a guy, as an adult male, right? Like I
yeah,
was literally there for, the times, except for the time when I yelled at
yeah,
you really
yeah,
badly,
yeah,
but
yeah.
that
That was
was
definitely another
another
experience as
experience,
well. Yeah,
exactly.
there's been a lot of experiences
Yeah.
since now.
Yeah,
So
exactly, from here to now. Um, but it's pretty amazing to see Michaela today than who she was actually like 10 to 12 years ago when you were a little bit younger, because I know you were a little bit overweight at the time. And I think that affected you as well because you were looking at your weight, right?
my appearance, all of that.
Appearance. And I remember we were talking last week, I think, about your weight and how you were trying to do certain things to slim down. Listening
Yeah.
to other people, like what kind of diets you were doing during that time?
Just like the diet fads that you see online, which weren't healthy, like just easy, quick fixes to hopefully see some weight be shed off. Like
Hmm.
that was me for like years and years of trying different
Different,
quick things to lose
mm,
weight just because, people want an easy change. But
especially with Amazon now. You just want everything the next day, right? So it's like, um, yeah, but you basically, because you basically didn't see any
any results,
results.
yeah, not a lot of
Right. And so
results.
you just be, okay, so this doesn't work for me. Let's try something else. And
Yeah.
then I guess like the more you saw that there were no results, did you kind of like, okay, well, forget it then. I'm just gonna stay this weight because there's like it's almost impossible to me to lose any of this,
Yeah, time and time again.
right?
Like I'd say it was a whole decade of me like trying to find myself within like that that whole thing.
Did it cause depression?
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
You're in a,
there's a lot that played into if we're going to talk about depression,
yeah, we
not
will.
just appearance, weight,
Hmm.
my childhood, like still like I have a lot to unpack. I
Yeah.
don't even know like where to start with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of weight, I've always struggled with my weight. Like I was always a bigger kid, bigger, bonier, structured kid,
Hmm.
and I always looked different in terms of weight, but also the way I dressed,
Hmm.
and that also played into it. But I I always pictured and wanted to be skinnier. I wanted to look better in my
Because
clothes.
your sister is actually, when she was young, she was really skinny,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
We look
So
so different.
yeah, like
Like,
they don't even look like sisters,
yeah, we don't.
right? So it's
Yeah,
like, so were you ever looking at Jasmine like, I wish I was her, ever?
not exactly her,
Okay,
but
okay.
like, like I
Because
guess
you're
all like our entire family was on the skinnier side, and
yeah,
I
that's
was
true.
just like the bigger, bony
Yeah, yeah,
person.
yeah. I see it. I mean, I see it, but yeah, I remember.
And yeah, I guess everybody and everything was a comparison. Like
Mm,
anything that I could compare myself to, I
you
would,
would,
just
you would.
because I was an insecure child. Like,
Hmm.
and it all stems from not really being shown love and being reassured as a kid. And because I wasn't, I just gained these self-conscious beliefs.
Yeah,
Or yeah, yeah,
totally. And a lot of people do that. They like to compare or they like to chase people.
yeah.
They don't realize, and I was just talking to you about the other day about how unique everyone is and how the only way you're going to actually find true happiness and even find out who you really are is when you stop comparing yourself to other people because everyone is on their own journey, right? So when you start to actually focus on your own journey, when you start to focus on your own self, and you need to focus on what actually makes you happy, just because someone else has something that makes them happy doesn't mean what they have is going to make you happy as well, right? So, I totally see that Michaela's actually been doing that. Like, she just has all of a sudden not all of a sudden. It could have happened like maybe a year or two or even longer. That she just
Yeah.
realizes that I don't need to go out there and say that like back in the day when she was like, oh, I wish I was as skinny as that person, right? Or why am I overweight or whatever? But to tell you the truth, Michaela 2 years ago, she didn't look like this at all. Right? She was actually, you actually started like working out
Last a year and a half
a
ago.
year and a
Yeah.
half ago.
Like
She
seriously.
like seriously
Yeah.
just start to exercise, right? Like going to the gym
Yeah.
and taking Muay Thai,
Muay Thai,
right? At
weight
the beginning, you were taking
training.
it with Michelle,
Yeah, with
which is
Michelle.
my eldest daughter. But then after she moved out,
Yeah.
you stopped Muay Thai, but you still continued to exercise,
Yeah.
right?
I still continued to exercise because I was like, I just wanted to find a hobby to fill my time with,
Yeah,
and I always liked something physical.
yeah.
I was always a physical person, if it came to sports or anything,
Hmm.
and because I started my career, I was like, what can I do in my downtime to fill that? So gym was one of them.
In gym, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess Muay Thai was a lead up to it.
Hmm.
And yeah, Michelle left, so I was just like, let me go to the gym. I don't think I had a serious.
Hmm. Like when you first went, this is funny because when she first went on the treadmill, how was the long farthest you ran, or how long did you run for?
Um,
This is incredible. You should have listened to this.
I could never run in my entire life. Like, okay, that's a stretch, but like my cardio sucks. I could only
Trust me, my
run
cardio
for
sucks too.
less than like 2 minutes.
Two
Two
minutes, okay?
minutes, and I
Two
would
minutes.
stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long can you run now?
Comfortably, I would say 45 minutes to an hour. Yeah.
45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
For when she first started a year ago was only 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Can you see that? That's like crazy progress. And that just proves to anyone that you can make things happen, right? If you work on it every single day and you're consistent, and you push yourself, right? This
Yeah.
is this is how like when you're talking about like people want quick success and it's like sometimes it's most likely it's not going to happen, right? Maybe you'll get that one in a million chance that you do something
Yeah.
and the next day you become successful. But most of the things that we do in life, it takes time. It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of hard work. And just seeing progress, it's difficult, and a lot of us quit because we don't see progress. But I think once Michaela started to really click in and say, you know what, I need to be patient, right? I really need to
Yeah.
be consistent because consistency is very
Consistency.
important. Like she
Consistency.
went there like almost every day. All right, you can't just go to the gym for one day and then next week you go another day and then you're like, oh well, how come I don't feel any different? Well, obviously, you know,
Yeah.
it's like that's why I say like every step counts. Everything that you do on a daily basis counts because it causes a ripple effect, right? So I think once you started to see progress, I know it was probably really slow at the beginning,
Yeah.
right?
Extremely slow.
But what was it that you told yourself that, you know what, even if I don't see progress, I need to keep going?
I th- I think I was on like I wanted change anyways.
Good.
That was like part of the process.
Hmm.
And I guess as time went by, just staying consistent with it, I eventually decided that, hey, maybe I can lose weight with it.
Right.
I guess that was still a goal in mind, anyways, but yeah, it came afterwards. And I just felt good doing it after, after
Because also when
every day.
you work out and exercising, because you were
Yeah.
lifting weights too, I think,
Yeah,
right?
weight
At the
training.
time she was doing weight training, and it really builds up your self-esteem. It makes you a lot more confident in
Yeah,
yourself
yeah,
because and again, when you see progress, it's almost like you get that sense of achievement. Like, oh my gosh, I see how it works now. If I put a lot of work in it, and good things will come out of it, right? And then it makes you feel good, and that's why I talk a lot about like even when you fix your bed in the morning, the first thing you got to do is you fix your bed because that's the first accomplishment of the day. And then when you do great things like that, the time when I cleaned up that basement, I talk about it a lot. That was a huge accomplishment for me. I finally told myself that, Roger, stop thinking that you can't do great things. Stop thinking that, that you can't do anything at all, right? So after I cleaned up that basement, I told myself, if I can do that, man, what else can I do, right? And that opened so many doors for me, right? I started cleaning the house again, like all the things I stopped doing, right? And that just makes you feel better, that sense of achievement and progress, results, like results. When you start seeing
Results.
results, right, it really makes a huge
Yeah.
difference.
Slow results.
Slow
But
results, but there's still results,
yeah, yeah,
right?
of course.
Just like taking
Yeah.
steps, like every single step counts, even though you can't see it.
Yeah. I knew that the dopamine rush after you work out, it just you feel good after doing it.
Oh, for sure.
And yeah, building that consistency,
Hmm.
you just it just becomes part of your routine
Yeah.
and it felt good.
Hmm.
And
And
yeah.
routine's important too, right? We talked
Yeah.
about routines all the time. If you're going through your life right now and you feel like, man, my life is so boring, right? You still have that choice to do something different,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like you try something new, you learn something new, and maybe you still have a lot of goals and a lot of like some dreams that you still want to make come true. I mean, go for it because you just, you know, I just wrote a quote today about how even though sometimes you may seem like you have a lot of time, right? No one's guaranteed a tomorrow, right? So you wake up in the morning and you think about that, I can't take this for granted anymore and I need to do as much as I can as much as I can while I'm still alive, to make your dream, try to make your dreams come true or try to do things that you wanted to do, but you've held out for so long
Yeah.
because you're just procrastinating and just saying, oh, I'll do it next year and whatever, and I'll just do it later, right? So this podcast here is the first time Michaela's actually been on a podcast, right? And it's like
Yeah.
this is a huge step for her too as well, right?
Yep. Yep. I've never been a good public speaker. This is like
You can't even tell,
no,
right?
no.
Like, yeah, right. You can't even
I,
tell. She's doing this amazing
you
job.
can't tell, but like there's thoughts
Yeah,
running
like
through my
she
head, and I'm just like, oh
I've
my god.
I've done podcasts with some of my other guests, and they were telling me the same thing. Like
Yeah.
it might seem like I'm doing a great, but even though I mean like this is another step that you've taken, right? Because we
Yeah, to
all
get me
have
out of my comfort zone for
exactly
sure.
to get out of your comfort zone, to escape that fear of doing something, even though like probably deep inside she's like I really want to do it, but I just can't. But and then again, sometimes it's about
Just taking
waiting
that.
for the right
Yeah.
time to do it. Like, don't force yourself to do something, especially if you feel uncomfortable, but that's why they call it the comfort zone. Some people actually will take that risk and just do it because they're just like, I don't know why I held back for so long because it's like, it wasn't so bad. It really wasn't so bad,
Like in the grand scheme of things, you'll look back and be like, oh wow, like I'm grateful that I actually took
Yeah,
that
took that
step.
step,
Yeah.
right? It's and I was just saying to her the other day, I was like, who knows, like after you do this podcast, this might make you start thinking about, maybe what if I did my own podcast, right? Maybe what if I started, and that could lead it to something that she really enjoys to do,
Yeah.
right? You just never know. Like 8 years ago, I wouldn't have thought I was going to do a podcast. Like I enjoy doing. I love talking. I love talking about life, but to actually have a podcast. So this is also a big step for me. This is my third episode, right? And
Yeah.
I made a promise to myself this year that I was going to do a lot more videos because I did injure myself last year twice, and then I got sick 3 times. And I was like, Michaela, this year, it's all about video. It's all about
Yeah.
video.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm still gonna, do the same stuff,
Yeah.
like write my quotes every day, but
Like expand on it and
then
like
expand
yeah,
on it.
hone in. Yeah.
Exactly. So going back to you,
Hmm.
I think a lot of things changed when COVID hit, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, in terms of
Actually,
the way I thought,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, not only and that because the world froze.
The world froze. I'm sure we all have our
Yeah, we
own like
all kind of
experiences
went through that,
and what we took
and
from
I
it.
know it actually wasn't even that long ago, right? Like,
Yeah.
but how were you dealing with that? Because you were actually just finishing school at that time, right?
Yeah, I finished my last semester of college.
Hmm.
That was like my fourth year. So I think during uh, s- while school was still going on, like COVID literally shut down everything, and we had to, like, school was still going on,
Yeah.
but I had to come back home.
Did you have a choice whether to stay in the dorm, or they basically told everyone to leave and go home?
Yeah, like nobody could come to school anymore.
Oh,
I
okay.
think this was after holiday vacation, so we were still on vacation, and it was Christmas
It was
break.
extended, wasn't
It
it?
was extended because of COVID,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we didn't know if we could go back, and they were like, okay, you guys cannot come back.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I was living not in dorm, but I was living out from my house, from home.
Yeah.
I was living on my own, but I was like, I want to go home. Like, I don't want to be alone.
Oh, yeah, because yeah, right.
So I decided to come back, but school was still, we still had to go back to school, but work from home online. So that was like the first time everyone got a taste of working from home for the first time. Yeah. And I finished school, and that was that. Graduated. We didn't have a ceremony or anything like that.
I know. I remember that time because Rihanna didn't even get to go to her prom.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she finished high school.
Yeah, she
and
just
I
finished high
finished
school.
college because
Yeah,
we're 4 years
yeah,
apart.
yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, and then I started my career from there, because like I'm in the film industry, animation,
Yeah.
entertainment industry.
Amazing
So
artist, by the way. I'm gonna leave her IG link in the description below.
sure,
So,
sure, sure.
like, if you like to take a look at her art after
Yeah.
you watch this podcast, please check the description and click the link to see how amazing her. You actually just did a cover album, like your
Album
friend,
cover. Yeah, for his debut album. So
his
like,
debut
yeah,
album.
which is awesome. Like,
And what's your friend's name?
Jake Salivio.
I'll put an Instagram link for that too as well. Actually, the Spotify actually.
Yeah,
You can actually
Spotify.
listen to his tunes,
Stream it.
stream it and stream it.
Yeah.
I'll put that link too. That's two links that you guys gotta have to check.
Plug
Yeah,
plug my friend. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Yeah, and that's so the you being an artist and doing what you do right now was it something that you thought back in the day was something that you were going to do in the future, or was it something you just said, well, I gotta do something and I'll just pick art,
It's a bit of both,
a bit
for
of both?
sure.
Because Michelle's an artist. She kind of went through
Yeah.
that.
Definitely within our family, because we are more
Very
like,
artistic. And my brother, you guys know Pat.
yeah,
You know,
like
we had the
insane
comic book
artists.
company,
Yeah.
and as they were growing up, they watched
We were very
our
influenced for sure
yeah
from you
from
guys.
our studios and the people that we worked with, and the art that we did. So
Yeah.
they grew up learning about art and how amazing it is and what you
That's
can do
awesome.
with it.
I
You
think
know,
because of you guys, like, yeah, that's why we love, all these
like anime
anime
and yeah,
and cartoons and
cartoons and
stuff. For
stuff.
sure, you guys were a huge part of it.
Yeah,
But yeah, because of who we are as a family, we're such an artistic, creative
yeah.
family. It,
Even Jasmine went through fashion.
yeah, my
You know.
sister,
Yeah,
you guys, Michelle,
yeah.
you all played a part. And honestly, I didn't know if I wanted to go into art, but like I knew inherently, like I was better at doing that than other school things. Like academically, I was
Yeah.
never like
Like if you went into sciences
I'm not a
or
STEM person. I was
or
literally
a
almost.
doctor
I wish like
or right.
like
I don't have that in me.
yeah, not
I
the
heal
it's
I heal
the
people
genes.
from other things. I heal people with words.
Yeah. No, I always was so close to failing sciences and math, and I really
That
wish
sounds like
I
me.
didn't, but it never clicked for me. So growing up, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like I didn't know what the world was. Like the concept of working, I understood that we had to do it eventually, but I didn't understand that,
What being an adult was like a
yeah,
real adult,
yeah.
like going out there
It
and
wasn't explained to me either,
that's kind of
really.
true, right? Because your mom works like every 7 days a week. she's like barely home. Your sister was super quiet,
Yeah. Yeah, I was
right? So it's kind of like if you can just picture like
I was a
how it
latchkey
what
kid, so like that term latchkey kid
yeah,
means
yeah.
like um I I go home with the key and like and I'd be the only one at home. Like my mom's at work
Exactly.
and
Man, thank God for Prince.
yeah.
Right? Look at his face. It's so cute.
But then you guys were a different factor that played
Yeah, but
into
actually
it as
Michaela would
well.
actually then she would just come over to our place,
Yeah.
right? Because there was at least someone to talk to, right? You didn't have to be home
Yeah.
alone all the time.
Yeah.
So
So
we saw
super
Michaela a lot. We saw Michaela a lot.
super grateful for that for
Yeah, yeah,
sure.
yeah. And we
Yeah.
had a lot of great
Yeah.
times there. But
But yeah, I didn't know what the concept of life was because it was just never explained to me. I didn't know if it was, but it seemed like everyone did. Like from elementary to high school, you have to work towards something.
yeah.
Like get an interest, figure out what you want to pursue. And by the time I went into grade 11, grade 12, I was just like still like la di da di da in my head.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
I was just like just still taking arts and and I was also in a different place in the world
That's
as
true.
well
Yeah, your mind
because
wasn't really there at the
yeah,
time.
it wasn't really fixated on what I wanted to do. It was fixated on the societal like structures of high school. Like I want to fit in.
Yeah.
I I I was so in my head about like people liking me and that's definitely where I like stemmed like social anxieties. That's where it stemmed from.
But you got along with a lot of people though, no?
I
Like like
did.
Michaela's very easy to get
I
along with,
did. I did.
but you're still thinking about
It was it it was always in my head. It really was. Yeah. I think also like moving a lot in our childhood. I always had to start over in new schools. So like I
oh,
think
right.
that definitely
That's true.
played into my confidence level and like lowering my confidence levels because I just had to uh, see new faces and grow into new environments that people already had friendships within.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I would say from Toronto, I was actually a really outgoing kid and so free-willed and like so happy and like every time I moved because we moved from Toronto to Richmond Hill like once and then another house but still same school and then came to
Yeah.
Newmarket. Yeah, so like that all led up into my confidence and yeah, my identity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, what was I talking about?
Well, you're right.
My
Well,
train of thought
I
loses
know,
me,
like
but
I do that a lot too. I do that a lot. But comparing yourself to who you are today and who you were, just say 2 years ago, can you see yourself that you have found a better version of yourself? That now you understand that what it's like to work on yourself every single day and not focus too much on either what people think about you or what their opinions towards you and like because it's all of that is just noise. That's just stuff that we shouldn't focus
right,
on. We
anxieties.
shouldn't allow that to affect who we want to be, right? Because when I started writing quotes, it was a big decision for me because I was like, uh, I wanted to do something, obviously, after I healed myself to share my story, but like for somebody to write quotes for a living, that sounds kind of if I told someone that, so Roger, what do you do for a living? Because you always get that. Back when I was a kid, it was always about like, what did you
Oh,
do?
it still
You know,
is.
it's still like, what are your kids? Or they talk to my mom and they're like, so what do your kids do? And then if my mom was like, oh Roger, he's writing quotes by the
Yeah,
way, and they'd be like, yeah, but does he make money from that? Like
yeah.
that. So I'd be like, I don't
It's
know if
still lit
I
up.
want to go that route but then I just said, you know what? I don't at that time because everything was changing up here, and I knew that if I didn't do what I enjoyed, I wouldn't be happy, right? So I knew that if I am able to do something every single day, and I am able to help at least one person, not only would I make that person feel better, but it would also make me feel better, which would also make me happy, and I know that the most important thing is your happiness. you need to fight for that sometimes. You need to make sacrifices sometimes just to make that happen. Whether it's cutting off friendships, or not, not going to certain places where you used to go to because there's just too much negativity there. All of that is will affect, your field of positivity, which you may want to start creating or want to protect, right? And so, I know it's happened to you a couple of times too, Michaela, where you kind of realized that sometimes, I may need to move forward, whether it's cutting off friends or whatever the case may be, that in order for you to find your own happiness or to find some sort of peace within yourself, that you need to make those sacrifices, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's part of the setting boundaries and finding yourself, and part of like the transitional stage of, like, what do we call it? S- Well, you call it the 5D. Yes, the
Oh,
5D.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's talking about, like, we talk a lot about the shift,
the
which is
shift.
basically like how Earth is shifting into a higher frequency and a higher consciousness. So I think Michaela's actually experiencing that journey now, and it's about awakening,
The
and
awakening
yeah,
process.
the
Yeah.
awakening process, and understanding that, like, there's so many people that are just focused about, what other people think about you, or I've got to make this certain amount of money, and like there's just so many things that the 3D world is. Well, you've watched The Matrix, right? That's pretty much what it is. That we live in a matrix, which is the old Earth, not old, but the current
The
yeah,
current
the
that we're
3D
living
world that we
in.
live in. But
Yeah.
however, there is also a five-dimensional Earth, well, we call it the 5D Earth, where you will your your vibrations and your frequency increases. It becomes higher, so that it's more of a love frequency,
Mm.
right? So everything that you start feeling inside, because the 5D Earth is not a physical world that we live in, right? Because this world right now is the physical world, but the 5D world is the inner world, like within you. So you can actually feel like when we were young, or when they talk about how we want heaven on earth, it's like that feeling of heaven is inside you, right? And if you can wake up every single day feeling that every single day, right, you are going to you will know the difference between someone who's like in the 3D world and someone when you're with someone that with a higher frequency, right?
Or same energies.
Or
Yeah.
the same energies, right?
Yeah. You can tell instantly,
Yeah, yeah,
pretty
like you can tell.
much.
Is it
Like,
back
or a
then?
feeling. Yeah.
Back then, you wouldn't be able to tell it, right? So the whole thing about me going through what I had to go through, that darkness, was my awakening
Mm-hmm.
process. It was me going in that cocoon, and then finally coming out of it and
Yeah.
flying off and becoming the butterfly.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, if you're going through a really tough time right now, this could be your time of awakening. That after you realize this, after this storm that you're going through, or this very dark chapter of yours, like, yeah, you're going to
You
realize a
learn.
lot about yourself. You're going to realize a lot about your perspective about people and the world, right?
If you want to change or you want to stay here,
Yeah,
like
whether
within
you
that,
want to change or you just want to stay living in the 3D Earth,
and with the
right?
same
And it's that low,
perspective.
low frequency, right? So when you get to a level where you can actually raise your vibration, right, and the level of your consciousness goes to a higher state, right? A lot of the things that you used to think that you were afraid of, and that kept you kind of pinned down, which causes you to be anxious or depressed, like those things won't bother you anymore because you almost like let go of that sense of fear. And I think fear is one of the things that is one of the main reasons that
Huge.
stop
Yeah.
people from becoming who they can become. Like
Their best
their
selves.
best
Yeah.
selves, like your greater
Yeah.
self, right? And it is a lot of work to get to that point, and that's why they say the awakening process can be caused through traumatic
Experiences.
experiences,
Hmm.
right? And I don't know what you went through that might have triggered you.
Yours was the thing that, yeah,
Definitely,
for
definitely,
sure.
yeah.
That me, I think it was my entire lead up until like now.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
even look at Michaela's story from ever since she was a kid. going through all of those different chapters leading up to
Yeah.
a certain point where it's sometimes it's like a
The
switch where you're
switch.
right.
The
It's kind of
point.
like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? What am I thinking? I and you made that decision that you wanted to make changes, right? You wanted to make changes in your
Yeah.
life, right? And the same happened to me when I told myself that, I don't want to live my life like this anymore. And I believe that if I really focus on myself and I work on myself every single day and learning how to love myself and just taking care of myself and all that stuff is about me, and it's not a selfish thing of me. Like, I'm not doing this stuff so that I can prove to people that I'm the
No.
best or that I have these great things or whatever. It's not. It's me taking care and loving myself, because once you start doing that to yourself, you're going to be able to, like, able to basically share it to other people, because you will understand how to love yourself, which means that you will understand how to love people as well,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And then what it happens with this shift is when more people start to realize this, then this type of positive love energy will spread, right? The more people that are aware of this shift, right? The better the energy is going to be, right? Because we talk about like how we are like transmitters and receivers. So when we think of a thought, we are actually projecting energy out into the universe, right?
Yeah. And our beliefs.
And our
Yeah.
belief systems and how you believe in yourself and all those things, because whatever you're thinking about, you're creating it, not
Yeah.
physically yet. If you think about it enough, it will become a physically, it will become a part of your reality. So, when I was going through that darkness, I was
You
thinking
were only
negative, only
projecting
projecting
negativity.
dark
Yeah.
things, negativity. So the next day it
Yeah.
would be dark, the next day, and after that, it would just never
Yeah.
become, I would never see the rainbow. Basically, it would rain every single
Yep.
day, is because that's all I thought about was the rain,
Yep. It's a
right?
never-ending cycle unless you want to change it. Yeah.
Exactly, unless you want to change it. So, if you are in that part of your life where you believe that you are never going to be happy again, that you are never going to be successful, that you can't have happy times again, then that's what's going to happen. That's how it works. If you think of everything as energy and you understand how it works, then you will start to understand that I need to start thinking differently. I need to start painting better pictures for myself, right? Like, that's why, like, working a better version of yourself. Like, my goal is to be the best that I can possibly be while you still have time here on this planet,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Because that's what I think Michaela is actually like. Like 2 years ago, if I had this same conversation, she would be a completely different person, right? She'd be more like just listening and just kind of thinking, "Oh well, is Uncle Roger making any sense?" But when I talk to her now, she gets it. Like, it's like, and I think every time I talk to you, a door opens for her,
Yeah. For
right?
sure.
Like, it just makes her think a little bit, her perspective about things that she, I guess, what you thought about before, like, you start thinking about, okay, maybe this is like the whole shift thing is
Yeah.
is real. This isn't some made up stuff. Like, people have been talking about this for decades, right? Like, how we're entering the age of Aquarius and all that stuff. Like, this is just
Yep.
all happening. And I was telling her the other day how we're here because we want to experience the shift. We want to experience from living the 3D world and actually feeling what it's like, how, like, heaven on earth, right? But still physically being here on this
Physically being
planet.
here. Yeah.
And it's such an amazing time to be living, because you can, like,
Just feel the shift.
you can, yeah, feel it everywhere,
Everywhere. Yeah.
right? You can just feel it, and it's like, you
Like
know,
we came here for a reason. Like
yeah, not only are you here
to
to
learn.
evolve, not only here are you trying to find your purpose, but I think we all kind of already knew that I want to be a part of this transition of how the earth is moving towards higher consciousness,
Hmm.
right?
We're supposed to just unlock it in our own
Unlock it.
heads.
Yeah, we have to
That
open up that third
connection.
eye.
Hmm.
We have that
Hmm.
third eye and all the chakras and all that stuff. if you're into spirituality and stuff like that, and you see more and more of it every single day on social media. I mean, that's what's on my feed. I don't know if it's on your feed, but if you just start doing research on it, right, about the shift, about the age of Aquarius, you'll start seeing on your feed, and you can find out a lot of interesting things. Like I've been sending Michaela like short snips from Instagram, but I even when I listen to it, it's like when you hear someone say something where you've been thinking about a lot and you truly believe in it, and you're telling yourself, I wonder if other people in this world are thinking about the same thing. You're like, this has got to be for real. Like this isn't something I'm making up in my head. Like other people in this world are feeling it the same way. So if you are listening to it right now and you're thinking about, well, I heard about about the earth shifting, about higher frequencies and how we're all about energy, and you're just like, oh my gosh, Roger just said it, or Michaela just said it, you're on the right track, because it's like you watching us right now, you were connected for maybe there was a reason for you to be watching this. The universe
Yeah, yeah.
connected all of
It's
us together
connection.
to connect with each other, right? So, and it's amazing. I learned about the law of attraction over a decade, about 15 years ago. And I know you were really young at the time. We were
You
talking
guys were
about it,
talking about it.
talking about it all the time. And then I know it was really difficult because the kids were really young, and I know Michaela was like, "Wow, cool," But
Yeah.
I think now it's even more cool because it's happening. It's like it's something that
Now it kind of connects in my head for
right
me. Yeah.
from the past, right? And I learned about The Secret and the law of attraction like over 15 years ago, like, and just I was so interested. My brother and I were so interested. We talked about it a lot, right? And it's just something fascinating to learn about. We're definitely going to talk more about it. And I hope that after this episode, I was also talking about Michaela that we may even actually do our own podcast. Just Michaela and I are just going to start our own podcast where we just talk about life and talk about all this stuff. Because the interesting thing is that she's in her mid 20s, 25 actually, right? Or 20? She's
20.
turning
I'm
26.
turning 26 in a couple of
She's turning
days. Yeah.
26 in a couple of days. So,
My
and it's
God.
and it's a very her generation has seen a lot, and it's a struggle, right? Compared to when I was her age, we didn't have access to the information that we get now. Back then, it
Mm.
was nothing like that. It was nothing like that. So living as a 25-year-old, I mean, just give me what your thoughts of how it is living as a 25-year-old here now in 2024.
Mm. It's it's definitely for me personally, and I think a lot of my friends we're all very confused.
Hmm.
Just at the stage that we're at, like figuring out life stages and such. We're all in different places,
Hmm.
and I think that's a given. Like at our age, you're when you were at my age, like everyone's just figuring things out.
Yeah.
But with the addition of social media
Oh, it's
and
crazy.
yeah, just that addition to us is an extra layer of confusion.
Confusion,
Yeah,
because you're talking about information worldwide
yeah.
and easy access. So you can, you know, sometimes you're just scrolling and you just hear something. You hear someone's story or something, right? And it's just like, whoa, that I can't believe, that could be me, like, oh, I'm so scared, or whatever it is you watch or you listen to, right?
Is an echo chamber. Whatever you're listening to, watching, it'll just recycle the same kind of thoughts, and you'll start to believe it, and it changes your beliefs and your values,
Hmm.
stuff that maybe you didn't even necessarily connect with. Like it rewires your brain, whatever you're
Yeah.
listening to.
And that's why I think I
Yeah.
always say that is so crucial when you are going on your phones. Like TV, it's like when you're selecting like a movie to watch, I put it as something different. But when you're scrolling, when you are in control of what you want to basically like listen to and what you want to watch, or what that is your choice. So for me, my choice is to only like find out positive things that can change me for the better, that can basically raise my my frequency, my vibrations. I want to have a higher state of consciousness. So when I listen to positive things, it helps me, right? When I write every single day, I write positive affirmations. I write positive quotes. I mean, not only is it helping like others because of what I write, but it helps me too because it's like I'm always telling myself these things to remind me that there's always hope, right? That, never forget about your strength, that, who knows what's going to happen in the future, but at least picture yourself in a happy place. Like this is so important. Like you need to learn to start creating that vision for yourself. Like put away all those thoughts of you not believing that these things can happen to you, right? Because the more you start to believe that, you can't be at a place where things are going to be good for you anymore, or that, that especially if you're working on something and you're telling yourself, I should just quit now because I don't see any progress, and, maybe I'm not going to be successful, you can't do that. You have to really believe that it is going, you like visualize it every single day, you being you succeeding in what
Yeah.
you are currently doing, you know.
Just affirmations really helps
Affirmations
every
help.
single day.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what really changed my brain chemistry was like every single day,
Would you be
just
reading
positive
it
thoughts.
like, or would you be thinking it in your head?
Uh,
Some people put post-it notes on their mirror, so when they wake
yeah,
up in the
yeah,
morning, it's like that all they see is. I
yeah.
had one of my followers. They write them on a post-it note and they put it on their mirror or on their fridge. So it's like wherever they go, they are going to read it to remind yourself. So because how often do you forget about a lot of
Oh
things
yeah,
because you're thinking about like so many
yeah.
things,
You need a reminder for
right?
sure, and whatever
Yeah,
reminder that works really like for that your viewer,
yeah,
putting on the mirror
yeah,
helps.
yeah.
Yeah,
It does.
it's a reminder. For me, yeah, I think it was
Thoughts, right?
thoughts,
And that's
and
actually really hard to do, and to be able to do that,
I
you
think
know.
other things weren't really working and sticking.
Yeah,
But thoughts and seeing quotes online, it was like whatever. I, I don't know what specific one, but
but there are
they
some that
helped.
sticks to you,
Yeah,
right? Like
genuinely. Yeah.
like the one that really one that stuck with me a lot was especially during the times when I was trying to grow my page and I was writing every single day and posting and I just wasn't seeing my page grow and I wasn't seeing the likes and all that stuff, the one that really stuck to me was, remember why you started. Like that one, just I just kept telling myself every single day and I was like, yeah, man, you just gotta keep taking those steps. And if you quit everything that you worked on and all those things that you told yourself while you were healing yourself, it's going to be gone to waste, right? Don't you want to see what it's like? Like, if you were to succeed with this, like where you're going to be and how many people you're going to help. And to me, I think that's the most important thing. So I knew that no matter what, do, I have to put all my effort into it. And, for me, that's my main focus is just working on Roger Lee quotes. I'm not going out there for a 9 to 5 job. I didn't settle to do like Uber or do like a side job. Money's not like the greatest for me or anything like that, right? But I know that if I work on something that I love to do, that the money will come after. I just look at it as a bonus for me because the most important thing for me is to wake up in the morning and tell myself that I love what I do. I can't wait to jump off of bed and start working, and I can't wait to start helping people with to give them a little bit of hope so that they can, make that decision that, I'm going to start changing my life today because I believe that I can start seeing brighter days and that I can find my happiness again, especially if you're going through a very difficult time, right? And like with your job, I know that you were talking to me that it may not be your passion,
Mm,
right? It could be just something that's going to take you there,
yeah.
right? I mean, she's trying different things, right? Like I said
Absolutely. Yeah.
earlier, this podcast could lead to her to something else, you know, maybe Muay Thai or something could take you to somewhere else. You just never know,
That's why I'm trying so many different things, just
Exactly.
putting myself out there.
She's putting herself out
Um,
there, you know.
See what clicks,
Yeah.
see,
The more doors
yeah,
you open for yourself, the more opportunities you're going to
yeah.
get. The more people you're going to meet,
It's
right?
for sure. It's definitely like a scary thought to have, like to start over. But if like I personally don't feel like my soul is like not fulfilled entirely,
Hmm.
so I'm trying to find those pieces for me to feel
Like,
fuller.
yeah,
Yeah,
because you
my
want to,
purpose.
like when I found, I thought I was going to be a singer. I thought I was going to be an actor because that's something that I like to do. But now I realize that it was something that I love to do, but it wasn't my passion, right? Even opening my own comic book studio, a
Yeah,
publishing company with my brother, I thought that was it. You know, I thought I'm going to be doing this for the rest of life. But I think still deep inside, that's not my passion. That is not it. I love doing it, but it still wasn't me. Like it wasn't Roger, comic books, we are one.
yeah,
Basically, that's what you're looking for, right? But when I started to like write quotes and help people and go and do my live streams and now even my podcast, it spells out Roger. Like it says Roger when so I see it as it's a perfect fit. And to be able to wake up in the morning to know that you finally found out who you were meant to be is, I think, one of the best feelings that you can ever feel, right? And I believe that Michaela is going to find that as well because she understands that I can't wait for opportunities to happen, right? Like you literally, if you sit there and you don't do anything, like nothing is going to
yeah,
happen, right?
yeah. Definitely just be in the same cycle of like, what am I doing now?
Yeah, you literally will be doing the same thing every single
Yeah.
day, right?
Which is
And
still a thought every now and then, but like it's just a human thought,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and I know like I'll overcome it.
Hmm.
But like I know to enjoy every bit
Hmm.
that's going on currently. Yeah, yeah, just starting, just I getting into my career. I like it never clicked. Like how I was saying before, like is this something I wanted to go into?
Right, right.
No, no,
Oh yeah, we're going all the way back there. Here
because
comes.
it leads up into the
I know,
story.
I know.
Like it, no, I just chose it because I was like, okay, let's just focus on something and run with it because I don't know what the heck else I want to do,
Yeah.
and the pressures of everything.
Hmm.
People are expecting things. People are expecting things. That's what I thought,
Yeah.
and there are. But
Hmm.
so yeah, let me just run with it and see where it goes.
But
And
it ended up being something that it's not like you hate doing it,
I
right?
don't hate. Yeah,
You still have that enjoyment of doing it. But I think
yeah,
you're still in search of what is it that I really love to do.
yeah,
Like that's you're trying to find your
yeah.
passion, right?
I yeah, I was definitely on autopilot, like
Hmm.
just from school.
Right, exactly.
I I knew if I worked through something, I could succeed in whatever. Because I know I know I'm a hard worker
Yeah.
at heart, so I knew I could get somewhere with art, and I did. I got into whatever my career is right now,
Hmm.
but it's just not something that's fulfilling. Yeah, pretty much. But
Like it doesn't feel like the perfect piece,
yeah, it
right?
never felt like the perfect piece. I don't. Yeah, but
I think what you're doing right now is definitely something that you're not afraid to start taking those extra steps, or you're not afraid to cross that bridge because you're really curious to see what's on the other side,
absolutely, I
right?
sat with this thought of like, oh my God, I for the since I started my career until now, that it's been like 4 years. I sat in this feeling from 1 to 2 years of like, is this really it? Like,
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
dude, I was like that before my accident. That's exactly how I felt. Like it's such a uncomfortable feeling to tell yourself that, man, is this it? Like, am I going to be doing this for the rest of life?
yeah.
And literally, I wasn't doing much, right? I was like literally a stay-home dad who basically like listed stuff online to sell, and I make lunch and breakfast for my kids. I take them to school, and that was like my joy, right? Like
Mm,
doing stuff for my kids. But after that, when I come home, it's like me playing video games, watching TV, just wasting like time away because I really didn't really get to that point where I really believe that I can get to myself to a level where I can be something or
mm,
someone or
mm.
something. I just felt that, hey, this is just Roger Lee is just going to be this guy who's a stay-home dad and he sells stuff
Yeah.
online.
Like, this is just what it is.
That's just what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? And and after what I went through, I figured out so many things. And one of the things is obviously I talk a lot about your mind matters, which is my motto, and I realized that it was all about your mind. What are you like listening to? What are you believing? And what are the thoughts that you can start like dissecting and push aside, and then focus on the ones that are really going to get to that better version of yourself, right? Because your mind is like a whole bunch of like, and I like talking, it's like you walk into like this, either it's like a fog, because sometimes we go in there, we just don't know what to think of, but sometimes it's like
Mm.
this library and you're so overwhelmed because you're walking to this library and there's all these books and you just don't know which one to read because there's just so much
I
information,
know, yeah.
right?
That's my brain
So
every
then when
day.
I started to learn how to focus, and
Mm.
I just basically zoomed in into like one thing, and I worked on that every single day, right? And that the first thing was about me. I had to work on myself. So I just did whatever it took for me to become that better version of myself, right? Which includes like loving yourself is like definitely like one of the most important things, right? And just when you start to focus, that just means that you have this tunnel vision, right? And everything that else that was bothering you before, they don't have a chance to affect you as much anymore because you are just traveling on this bullet speed train, going
Yeah.
too fast for any of those negative thoughts, right?
Other, yeah.
To like say, hey, don't forget you have a very bad life. Don't forget you're never going to be happy again. Don't
Yeah.
forget this and that. Like that's how I figured it out when I cleaned my basement because when I started cleaning the basement, all I wanted to do was clean that basement, right? And for 3.5 weeks, that's all I thought about. And at the end of it, after I cleaned it, I asked myself, whoa, what happened to all those things that I was telling myself that, I'm never going to be happy again, or tomorrow's going to be a bad day, or I can't do this, and all that stuff. And then I figured it out that it was all about focus, right?
Yeah.
Tunnel vision. I'm talking about tunnel vision, right? like, like I don't know what your tunnel vision is, but it's probably
It's still me discovering it.
you're
Yeah.
still discovering, but you do have a vision. I think the vision is what is important, that you are trying to figure out who you are supposed to
Yeah.
be.
That's my main focus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're trying new things and
Yeah.
opening the doors and not afraid of taking risk,
Yeah.
right? And just seeing what the outcome is, because we were talking about regrets the other day, about when your time is up here. I think the worst thing that could happen to you is that you have a huge list of regrets, right? To tell yourself that, hey, when I was younger, I should have done this, I should have done that, and now it's too late,
Yeah.
right? But now, if you can just look at that and say, you know what, maybe I should take the opportunity to try it at least. And if it doesn't work, then I'll open up another door and see if that works for me. That is the only way you're going to find out whether, you know, anything is going to work for you or fit into your life, or that's how you're going to find, what it is that you love to do, right?
Love to do whatever success is to you.
Yeah,
Yeah, really. Like, if success is
what you're aiming
to,
for,
yeah, 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 what
right?
you're aiming for to
And
be.
even if you know, you can find when you find your passion, most likely if you love what you do, it will become a success because it's like you love doing it and you don't mind spending the whole day doing it because you're just so in so much love of the work that you put in because you feel that this is you. Like this is what I've been waiting for, you know. And I wish I could like share what it's like, that actual frequency,
Yeah.
energy of that, like how it actually feels. For anybody that's still trying to figure out what it's like to actually know what your passion is, but hopefully one day you will feel it, and then you'll be like, oh my gosh, I understand what Roger's talking about now, right? And I believe that Michaela, you're gonna find that too, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, I mean, there's still you still have a lot of like you're
Life.
still yeah you're still young,
Yeah.
so there's still like when I was your age, let me see, I think we just started our comic book company at that time.
Yeah.
Like that was the early stages
Is
of like
it?
yeah, like Dreamwave was just started, but that we were just like a small studio that didn't publish anything yet. And, you know, who would have thought that my brother and I would have like one of the largest Canadian comic book publishers in the world, which is like messed up because it's like my brother and I grew up with comic books and Transformers and all these toys and stuff. And, you know, fast forward later when we're in our 20s, we actually started working with all these companies who basically, you
Yeah.
know, did all the toys and stuff that we love to do, you know?
Yeah, you guys' story is insane.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
You and Uncle Pat should
Yeah.
definitely like expand on all of that.
Oh, we
Like you
definitely
guys,
are.
your viewership, yeah, would love to hear that story.
Yeah, and
It's amazing.
you know what's even crazier is that you know Uncle your Pat, which is her uncle, we're actually working together again on a samurai project, which I will
Yeah.
give details about later. But it's like working him with again on the
Mm-hmm.
same thing, and who knows? Like, imagine if Michaela, we got you involved, like you, like it's crazy, right? Like, she'll be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm actually working with them now. You know,
Whatever
like
happens, happens.
yeah, whatever
Yeah.
happens, happens, but you just never know, right? So I'm excited about this, you know, working with my brother again and opening opportunities because my kids are even all very great artists too, and
Okay.
I can even have them
You have
help us
your like
a little
your
my little
little own
studio,
studio, which is
my little
awesome.
home studio
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah, so you know, that's why you know, I spoke with you last week about the present moment, how a lot of us spend too much of our mind in the past or in the future, right? So your body is actually in the present moment, all right? So if your mind is actually not there in the present moment, that means your mind and body is not together, right? Which means that your energy is not focused on thinking of what you're doing right now. So
Mm.
if you're wandering, if your mind is wandering too much, and your mind and body are not together at the same time, that is the most important time is having your mind and your body working together as one, right? That's when you get things done, right? So, you know, it's hard to do because, you know, like every single day there's always something that, you know, life can throw you something unexpectedly. It's like, oh my gosh, now I have to do this, now I have to do that, and blah 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 blah, right?
Right.
But once you've trained yourself enough, like when you start to strengthen your mindset a little bit, then you will know exactly where your energy should be spent, right? I'm not going to spend an hour thinking about this thing when I don't even know if it's going to resolve it, right? Like just
Worrying.
worrying,
Right. Right.
right? I'd rather just see what I can do right now to make things better, right? To or maybe just put that aside right
Yeah.
now, but work on something that's gonna cause a ripple effect so that tomorrow is going to be better, right? So, you know, I think it's really it's hard. It's easier said than done, obviously, but you know, I learned that, you know, once you start to learn how to really focus a lot, you know, you're going to be able to have that power to be able to choose which thought you want to focus
All
on,
right.
right?
Can we use an example for like dwelling on the future, but we should focus on the current. Like, can we use an example so it could help? like
Like to
if you
help.
were
Okay, so
so.
focusing on the future, like when I look at the future, I stop worrying because there's no point in worrying. There's no point telling yourself, I wonder if I'm going to be successful, or am I going to get this? Am I going to get that? Right? I don't think when I start to learn how to manifest, right, with the law of attraction, I was telling you the other day, like it's about the feeling, your belief, like of having it already, right?
Mm,
Like for example, remember the when I was telling you about the phone holder in my car, how
mm,
I was like, because we have a car and it's really hard to find like a phone holder for it. So I was thinking about I was like, there's this one that might fit, and I kept thinking about it, right? And I saw it in my car, like I like it almost felt like it was already there, and then it was so there's this store called Crazy Bins, right? So basically, they have all these bins and they have all these Amazon, like return Amazon products. And you just go in there, and it was a $3 day. So they have like $25 day, $10 day. But on that day, it was $3. So it was in the morning, and I was going to go there with my wife. And I showed her, I go, hey, I want to get this, I want to buy this thing on Amazon, right? And then I was telling her, you know what? Maybe it'll show up at Crazy Bins because we were just
mm.
literally going to go there, right? So we go there and we're going through the bins, and I see this empty box of the exact one phone holder that I was looking for, right?
Yeah.
And then my wife's like, "Oh, someone bought it already because it's not in the box." And then I was like, "Well, I'm just gonna keep looking for it because it might have fallen out of the box, right?" So I look over to the next bin, and there it is. It's like that's the exact phone holder, and I've been to that place many times. And I've never seen it before, right? So it's about if you're thinking about the future, then you think about the good things that are going to come into your life, right? The stuff that you want to attract into your life. Focus your thoughts on that rather than wasting your time and energy, right? Because it's so important because what you're thinking about, what you're projecting, the universe hears everything that you're thinking of. All right. So if you're telling yourself that you're going to have a bad day every single day, the universe is like, okay,
There
right?
you go.
There you go. But if you say, man, I really see myself being happy in the future. I feel it already.
Yeah.
The universe is going to be like, wow, yeah, I totally
Yeah.
agree with you. It'll happen to you, right? So, and it's hard. I know it's so hard to worry about the future because, money has a lot to do with it, right?
Absolutely.
Money always is there to make you, to lower your frequency. It lowers your vibrations because it's always like you're thinking about something great, and then all of a sudden, oh, my mortgage, and then
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I have to pay this bill, right? So you're down here,
Yeah.
right? But remember that you can always, when you get to the point where you can start controlling your thoughts, what do you want to think about the most? It's hard, but I'm not. But you can do it. You can do it, right? So picture yourself like and believing that it's already in your life, that you have it already, that you can feel it, right? I use an example of like, do you remember how it feels to have like 100? If you have $100 in your bank account right now, right? Just imagine that feeling of having $100 in your account. You know you have $100 in an account, right? It's there. That's that's a type of frequency, right? So
It'll.
now think of $1,000. The same feeling of $100, and you put $1,000. I have $1,000 in my account. I have 1,000. I can't wait to spend it on a present or something because I know I have $1,000, right? Watch, it'll come.
It'll come
It will come because the
with
universe,
effort. Yeah.
yeah, because you're in tune with the frequency of what it's like to have $1,000 in your account, right? It works for everything,
Everything. Yeah.
right? But it's of you. The secret is you believing that it's there, that feeling of, you know what I mean? If it,
That feeling of I know.
I know,
Yeah.
I know, I know it's there. I know it's there. And start off with something really small. Like for example, like that phone holder that I had, right? I like already felt that it was already in my car, right? So don't start off with like $1 million, or because you don't know what $1 million feels like, right? So you can start off with like 100, okay? But if it's not about money and it's something else, it could be a relationship. If you remember the feeling of
Love.
love,
Yeah.
of having someone love you, then try that. If it's just something small, right? Like one time I tried it with like the the cap of a red pen, just the cap, and I never see it. So I tested myself, and I just kept thinking about it. I just kept thinking of this red cap, and I just pictured it that uh, I had it, right? And then 3 days later, I saw it in the corner of my basement floor while cleaning. And I was like, oh my gosh, it works. Oh my gosh, it's crazy, man. This works. It works, right? So the law of attraction is real. Manifestation is real.
Universe will show
The
you.
universe talking, sending out messages, thinking, your thoughts, and the universe listening to it and making it a reality and make it become something real in your reality. Does that make sense? Make it be part of your reality, right? It's real. This is all real, and this is all, and these are the things that a lot of people are learning about
Yeah.
now, right? And they're trying to figure out how they can start doing that with their life as too. Because once you start to learn how to do it, you'll understand that you can really start to change your life,
As
right?
long as you're willing to change your own. Yeah.
As long as you're willing to make that
That
choice
decision.
to change your life,
Yeah.
right? That's already something you probably want to manifest, right? That you want to see life, good things happen in your life, which is equivalent, which is the same as you changing your life in a positive way, right? Was that example good?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Kind of explained it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all about when you're awake every single day. What are you going to do with that energy, right? What are you gonna do? And if your goal is to like work on a better version of yourself, what are you going to do every single day to make that happen for yourself? Right? Are you going to waste your day flipping through your phone, watching TV, binging a TV series, and just sitting there and doing nothing? Well, nothing's not really going to happen because you're not really focusing on working a better version of yourself, unless you're flipping through your phone and you're looking at positive affirmations or anything that's going to make you think more
Toward
towards
your goal.
that goal.
Yeah.
Then that's not a waste of time because you are actually putting the work to make it a reality for
Right.
yourself,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Can we
yeah,
talk about how life will throw
things at you.
things at you,
Yep.
and it's each time it's a learning experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest ones that I like believe that there's always a lesson from it, and no matter how dark it gets, that there is still a lesson to be learned. When life does throw that at you, and I know it's tough because you're telling yourself, "Why me?" I said that so many times. Why me? Why is this happening? And then the first thing you tell yourself, I'm not strong enough. I can't surpass this. I've been through some pretty hard times before, but this one's really tough, right? But these things that we go through, like we talk about strength, but I think a lot of us forget how strong we are. Even though we've gone through chapters and we've overcome it, we always still somehow feel that we're not strong enough, or we forget about how strong we are, right? So, like these dark chapters is happen to you because it allows you to bring more strength out in you, because we can get stronger, and this chapter, whatever you're going through, will prepare you. It's almost like they're all battles that we go through, right? So this battle that you're going through may not even be the worst one. The next one that comes after could be worse. So in order for you to really find that beast within you, okay, like I didn't know I was a beast until this whole thing happened to me. Like even my wife was surprised. She's like, she even knows that, oh my gosh, Rod, you are a completely different person than you are now, which is a good thing, because I can control the beast, right? But it's about bringing that out, because you need to find it within you, because whether it's people or places you go to or whatever incident that happens to you, you need to protect yourself, right? You need to, especially if your goal is to like work on a better version of yourself, and there are people out there that are going to tell you that you're not good enough, you can't do it, there's no way, whatever. But you'd be like, no, you are wrong. Like I've been through so much, and I know what my worth is, my self-worth, and I believe that I can get there. You need to stand up for yourself, right?
Yeah.
So when you go through these hard times, it's like like there's a quote where I write, it's like, don't be mad at it, appreciate it because it's going to teach you to become stronger, right?
As long as you're willing to learn from that
Yeah,
experience,
and
yeah.
if you don't learn from that experience, it's going to happen again.
Again and
If it
again.
doesn't, if you still don't learn it with this lifetime, you're going to come back here and it's going to happen to you
Yeah.
again.
Or even within the same lifetime, like the
Within the
same
same lifetime,
experience.
it's just going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just going to repeat
Yeah.
itself because what happens when you learn and it happens again, you'll just be able to shorten it that much faster than prolonging it because you already know, like, oh yeah, I went through this already. I know exactly what to
Hmm.
do. It's almost like if you don't know how to fix a refrigerator, but you call someone in, an electrician to, or whatever, to come fix it, he knows exactly what to do because he learned how to do
Yeah.
it,
Are you
right?
gonna learn, or are you gonna fall back into like the depths of, oh, why is this happening to me again, right?
Exactly, right? So, always I always take it as a lesson.
Mm.
A lesson will be learned, and hopefully at the end of it you'll be able to learn something from it, right? Because you don't want that to happen again, right? But you can't stop storms from coming, okay? You can't stop like dark chapters from happening because it's like life is all about balance and it's about, good chapters and bad chapters. So you can't have a perfect life because it just doesn't work that way. If your life was extremely perfect, it would be extremely boring. Okay? It's like if you watched a movie and it was good from beginning to end and there was nothing in between, like wouldn't that be like just the most boringest movie? Like it was just you need conflict, it's got to be have its ups and its downs.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
got to have all of that and that's what your story, our story is like. We are going to I mean that's why I look at it as we literally this is a movie. Our life is like a movie, right? And we are the not only the actor, but we are also the director. We can write our own script and we can, we every single day we get this blank page, right? And we get to write something in it, right? So, if you actually have that as a part of your mindset, then that will mean that it can push you more towards telling you that, well, I'm going to hold the pen today because I'm not going to let anybody hold it for me. I'm not going to allow anybody to write it for me, right? Because this is my life.
Hmm.
This is my story, man. I want to write what I want to write, you know, and because I want to have a happy ending. I want to work towards that happy ending. So if you have someone writing it for you every single time, telling you what to do, how your life is, what's going to make you happy, and all that junk, right? Then you've basically allowed someone to say, "Give me that. Let me write it for you."
Yeah.
Right? I don't want that. I want to do what I want to do that makes me get to a level where I can say, yeah, this is me.
I think a lot of people are a victim to
A lot
having
of
other
people.
people's perspectives,
And with
their
social
own.
media now, it's
Yeah.
even more
Yeah.
crazier because you get to see all these people from all over the world, what they're doing, what they're eating, what they drive, what they wear, all that stuff. You know, some of them look like they have a lot of good things, but you never know if that's for real.
Hmm.
Right? It could be just a stage. Like, you just never know, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
I definitely, yeah, I was a victim to that as well.
Hmm.
Like,
And I'm sure a lot of your friends are as
oh,
well, right? Like
yeah,
you can think,
I definitely didn't know who I was. Yeah.
yeah, you get so confused because it's just like sometimes you just think like I wish I was in their shoes because it looks like they got it all, right? But then, once you step away from that, and the first thing you got to think about is how grateful you should be for the things that you already have in your life. Like you already have a lot of things that a lot of people don't have. We don't think about it, right? We kind of sometimes take it for granted, but you look at you have a house to live in. You have at least one meal per day, right? You live in a place where it's not that violent or you're not in prison, right? Or you have still a freedom of choice. All those good things that you have and even your senses, like if you could taste, if you could smell, hear, see, all those things, that's still something that you should be grateful for, right? And I started to start thinking about all these little things. I love sitting down on my front porch and I love just looking at the trees and looking at the small animals and I like to be like like I kind of make myself feel like I'm a part of their little environment, right? Because it's about oneness,
Mm.
right? It's just to, because they're like living in like 100% love frequency, right? It's they have no worries. They just, well, except being eaten by another animal, but they don't, it's just like, that's just a part of life, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But it's like you could just see them. They're just going around like doing their own thing, and and if you could just sit there and just try to feel like you're a part of them, or even like just stare at a tree, or how people like hug trees. I mean, they give up so much. They give us so much good energy, right? And it works. It really does. And yeah, it's just crazy how changing the way you think. I think perspective is definitely a game changer, right? Like how you see things, right? Like before,
absolutely.
I used to look at the world as a very dark place because I was put in a situation. Sorry, I was put into a situation where my life was bad, where it was very dark. So I was just like, okay,
Yeah,
this is so bull, because it's like, what did I do to deserve this? Like, I believe that I'm a good person, so why am I going through anxiety? Why am I crying and yelling my at the top of my lungs every day? Right? Like literally, like what did I do? Right? Not
yeah,
knowing that this chapter in my life was gonna shift me into a different version of myself that is going to be 100 times better than who I was before I fell, before I had my accident.
yeah.
And that's the other thing I want to talk about is acceptance.
Acceptance.
Like when you are going through something, it's already been done. Like you literally can't do anything about it except, going through every single day and what's going on up here. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about the situation? Right? But as when you start to accept and you tell yourself that, I'm just going to have to go through this, and I know that God gave it to me, right? Because there's something that I have to learn from it, right? Going back to about learning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then so if you pass this test, then you've accomplished something, right? You've learned something in life, and you've learned that you're stronger, hopefully, after this. And then from there, you keep moving forward. And then when it happens again, hey, you're prepared, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Acceptance is real. Yeah,
Yeah, it is. It's a hard thing to do.
yeah.
It's a hard thing to
Because it
accept
plays a
anything, because you just start
it's
saying what, like
your
what
ego
the.
plays into it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. It says, holy crap, like why? Like you know how many times I said why me? Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
just couldn't believe it that, like, I'm going through this, and I was telling myself I must be the only one going through this. I must be the only one out of 8 billion people. I was telling that I'm the only one going through this. But then, I got to a point saying, telling myself, like, Roger, you got to really think about what you're thinking, because it's like there are so many people out there that are going through even way worse situation than you. So, you know, you're not even going through, I mean, you're going through something very dark and very bad, but, there's other situations out there. People are going through way worse than you, right? So, that's perspective again, right?
Right.
So, it helped me realize that, okay, if I'm not as bad as them, then I better do something, right? If I am able to wake up in the morning still, and I'm still able to physically be able to do things, right? And my mind is still working, like luckily for the drugs, I guess,
Functioning.
because
Yeah.
it put me into zombie mode, but I was still able to think
Function.
and
Yeah.
function, right? Which means that I'm still able to do something to change my life,
Right. Right.
right? So,
I think perspective is huge. It allows you to look at other people's experiences and compare
mhm.
for the better of your situation.
Yes. Like that comparison part, like when you compare people, compare yourself to
Company.
that,
Right. Right. Like
right?
I don't have it as bad, or it's still your experience and you can grow from it, but like it helps putting these things into perspective, and it also allows for empathy.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure. Which I didn't have during that darkness, but I started to understand it more. I mean, I was like that. I had empathy before my accident, but it's like it's much bigger now. Like, just
Empathy and
because
love.
it's just understanding what how important love is. How important love is all the way until uh, you know you leave this planet. And I honestly believe that this whole experience that we're going through is all about love. And the whole thing about being materialistic and all that money and how having to look like you're better than everyone else, that's just it ruins the
The
whole
other
thing
side. Yeah.
about us trying to be here to learn about love, because money destroys that, right? In certain cases, but hopefully it's not most cases. But like they say, money can't buy love, right? Because love is just love. Like you just can't. There's nothing that can compare to that, right? Because we come from love, right?
Love
We
is the
come from love.
foundation for everything.
Super
Yep.
powerful energies, and
Hmm.
it's just you know, and I guess like one of the goals is to just try to bring as much love or experience as much love as you can in this lifetime, right? And that's why I think whether it's your friends or your families or just being able to take some of that time to spend it with those people that give you that kind of energy is so important. That circle and that environment that you have, right?
Yeah.
Like literally, like when your father, when you, when your mom left your father, it opened the door for you to allow that, that, well, he left, right? So that negativity was not part of your life anymore.
Right.
Even though it was a slow process in trying to find that love, at least your mom gave that opportunity to allow it to happen,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and now it's great, like to be able to have you, like Michaela comes over to watch, but we do so many things together now. We play board games, we watch basketball games, we go shopping, we do all kinds of things. So, it's like compared to like what it was like 6, 7 years ago, huge difference, right? Like huge difference. But it didn't happen like with a snap of a fingers, right? It was all, people had to do their things, to make it happen, right? And that's why it's like it's always possible. It's possible, really possible, to really change your life, especially if you really want to do it, right? And you take those steps. Like even if people are telling you like all these things, like you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't. How do you know I can't do it, right? How do you know I can't do
Yeah.
it? And then when you do it, they don't have nothing to say.
Yeah. I don't know. I think when people say that, it's like it stems from their own insecurities in selves.
Yep.
I don't know. They just want to spread hatred
And those are the
because,
people you need to, stay
yeah,
away from, right?
yeah,
If they
absolutely.
can't hold your hand and walk you down a path where they can help you find your happiness, then, I use this on my quotes all the time. They don't have to be a part of your journey, right?
Yeah.
They just don't. And, it makes that much of a difference to be surrounded with positive people. But I think the hardest thing is when you go to work, right? And there's this one person or two people there that you can't stand, or they're always there
Mm-hmm.
like causing like negativity or
Right.
bad vibes. But it's like I don't want to quit my job, I can't quit my job, but I still have to go there every single day to see them, right? That I think that's very difficult. And some of you watching might be experiencing that, right? But going home, working on yourself, strengthening your mindset, like we're even talking about, like how we were talking about exercising and all that stuff to help,
Balance or get rid of that side of that's affecting you.
yeah. And
It can help.
by building that confidence in yourself,
Right. Right.
right, you're able to just block it all off, right? Because I look at it as almost building like a force field around yourself, right? Just you're like it's just like this energy that you have, and it's like almost like this shield, right? So it's like when you go to work and you get these people and they're like saying all these things to you and they're causing you to other people to think negatively or they're whatever, it'll
Right.
just like it'll bounce right off of you because you're like, oh well, okay, whatever, because I got more important things to think about. And already you're not part of my journey right now, so
Right. Right. Right.
I don't have to like you know let's just focus
Yeah.
on working for today. But when I get home, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'll be fine.
They're not that important of a figure
Exactly. Like a
that's
video game, and
affecting
they're
me.
like
Yeah.
NPCs. They're not like the main character or whatever. They're kind
Yeah.
of like that extra in
Yeah.
that movie
Yeah.
that
And
won't affect you.
exactly.
That's what they are, pretty
And if
much,
you
right?
put too much focus on it, then that will continue to impede
Exactly. If you
on
if you
your.
start putting more focus into it, and then you start talking back to them, and then you're just a part of that negative field
Yep. Yep.
of energy,
Yep. And you
right?
allow it to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you know that you don't want to be a part of that, then
Do something about that.
yeah,
That
you
will.
just block it away.
Yeah.
You block it away. So it's all about work. Again, it comes back to you like working on yourself. Always. It's always about working on yourself, right? So and I'm so happy to hear like I didn't know that Michaela has been doing that. Like I know that she started working out and all that stuff, but like the way she's been thinking about and all this, I'm just like when we have conversations, we could just sit there, we just talk about one thing, and all of a sudden it's like 3 hours later. It's like, oh, what the heck?
One
It's like
thing
three
leads to
hours,
another.
because
Yeah.
there's just so much to talk about. And I think, this podcast today is just the beginning of many great ones.
Because I'm still uncovering a lot of everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Michaela's learning every single day. I'm still learning every single day. But we have really great conversations, and I think that either your next we can do a part two of this one. Well, I guess me and Michaela are just going to talk about it, but as I said earlier, that Michaela and I might be actually having our own podcast. So if you have enjoyed today's podcast, because we still have so much to say, but I don't even know how long we've been talking for. I can't
No, I
read. It's
can't
almost 2 hours.
read. I can't see.
Oh, I think it's almost 2 hours.
It's very tiny.
Yeah, it's very tiny. But so like we're gonna talk about it, and we're gonna just we have so much to say. I don't think we got even a chance to say everything that we wanted to talk about, right? So we are definitely going to continue this either with a part two of this, or I mean, this could be like Mikhail be like, "Oh my gosh, I found what I love to do, man! I love doing podcasts." We want to start our own podcast together. So, hopefully you enjoyed the podcast, and Michaela, thank you so much again. I mean, I've been waiting for this day for like the longest time. So, it means so much to me that you're here today, and I hope you had a great time.
Yeah, it was fun. It
It
was
was fun,
fun.
right? I mean, like
It's nerve-wracking for sure.
yeah. But I think after
It's
today, I think
better.
it's gonna be totally
Yeah.
better. You're gonna. I think.
It's
It's just gonna get better from here.
yeah. It helps relieve things of like
Of
of my perfectionism and such.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it could be some of the things that that it's been holding in, like maybe some of the things that she might have mentioned, right? Even if it was small or something, but it's still something that you let go, and I think it would help for anybody to release something that they felt like they wanted to say something, but it just never came out, right? So. And
Yeah.
also with all this positivity, the stuff that we've been talking about, I mean, it makes you think a lot, right? It makes you think about, the good things that are going to happen like in the future, and that there is possibilities that every single day you can make a difference in your life, right?
One step at a
One
time.
step at a time, one breath at a time, one day at a time.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll look back on this video
We
and
will,
just
we will
and see like
definitely.
if you want to
And Prince
expand
has
on
actually been
anything. Yeah.
sleeping through this whole time, and thanks Prince for being our special guest.
You're such a sleepy boy.
He is. He's like the most chill dog. Yeah, he's such a cute dog. All right, so I guess we will catch you on our next podcast, right?
Yeah.
So that's me, Roger Lee, signing off with,
Michaela.
and we will catch you on the next podcast, either on number 3 or our own podcast.
Whatever you want.
All
Yeah.
right, we're gonna decide. We're gonna decide
Yeah,
very
yeah.
soon. All right, take care.
Okay,
Thank you for joining.
bye.
Bye. Take care. Oh, don't forget to click the links to check out her Instagram account and her friend's Instagram. What was it
Yeah.
again? What's your friend's name?
Jake. Jake.
Jake, I'll put down the Instagram. Please click the link and check out their awesome, awesome, awesome work. All right, we'll catch you on the next podcast. Remember, your mind matters. Your mind matters. Okay, bye. Bye.